Hi guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to use select related and prefetch related to optimize the speed of your queries so you won't have a messy situation like over here. Without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, before we get started, let's take a look at what have I done so far. So I started a brand new Django project, and within this project I created a very simple application called posts. Inside of this directory in the models.py file, I placed two classes. The first one is author, and it consists of only one field called name. And then we have the second one called post. Here we have two fields, the title and the author. The author currently is a foreign key relationship to the author class above, but later we will change it to a many-to-many relationship. So we will pretend that a post can have many authors. And then if we take a look at the views.py file of this application, we will see a prepared view for some optimization using select related and prefetch related. So over here, we are going to optimize the queries. Then in the settings.py file, I just added posts to the installed apps list, and I told Django where to look for additional templates. I haven't installed Django Debug Toolbar just yet. We will do it in a second. Then we have the main HTML file where we are checking if the data exists, and if the data does exist, we are looping through the data and displaying them as a list item. In other case, we are just displaying that there is no data. This main HTML file is placed in the templates directory of the source directory next to the base HTML file from which it inherits. The base HTML file is just a simple bootstrap starter template with some adjustments, okay? So then the final step is to take a look at the run changes script. Here we are automating, making migrations, migrating, and running the server. Alright, so as the next step, let's install Django Debug Toolbar. The link to this documentation is placed in the description below. So let's grab pip install Django Debug Toolbar. Let's quit the development server from running. Let's install Django Debug Toolbar. Then let's go to the next step. We need to add Django Debug Toolbar to the installed apps list. So let's go to core settings, installed apps list, and let's place it over here. Okay, let's go to the next step. We need to include Django Debug Toolbar in the URL patterns. So let's do this as well. So let's go to URLs and let's place it down below over here. We need to import include. So from Django URLs, let's also import include like this. Let's save it. And then we also need to add middleware. So let's copy this and let's go to the settings.py file once again, and let's place the debug toolbar middleware down below. Okay, let's save this, and I think this is the final step, the configuration of the internal IPS. Let's copy it, paste it down below. All right, let's save this, and I think for our simple use case, this should work. So let's hit refresh. Of course, we need to run the server, Python manage py run server. Okay, let's hit refresh. And there it is. Okay, so this is what we are going to do. Currently, if we go to the SQL section, we have two queries, and this is related to authentication. So currently, I'm logged into Django administration. If I log out, we have 0 queries, okay? And then let me log in one more time. and we have 2 queries again. All right, so keep in mind that we will be working with the Django administration. That's why we will have 2 additional queries. All right, so as the next step, let's create some objects. In order to create some objects from the Django administration, we actually need to register them. So I forgot about this step. From .models, we want to import post, and we also want to import author. Let's register these models very quickly. So first of all, let's place in the author, and then let's do the same for the post. Let's save this and let's hit refresh. All right, so now let's place 5 authors and 6 posts. So I'm going to place in author 1, save and add another one, author 2, author 3, author 4, author 5. And let's do the same for posts. So we will have post 1. Let's assign it to author 1. Post 2. Let's also assign it to author 1. Post 3. Let's assign it to author 3. Post 4. Let's assign it to author 4. And post 5, let's also assign it to author 4. And I mentioned that there should be 6 posts, okay? So post 6, and let's assign it to author 5. All right, so as the next step, let's go to the views.py file. As you can see, I already done the imports. So let's create a first query set called posts, and this is going to be post objects all. So we are fetching all the posts, and I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to head over to our main page, hit refresh, and then as you can see in the SQL, we only have 2 queries. And this is because query sets in Django are lazy. So the objects in the query sets are lazy, and this basically means that they don't actually retrieve the data until we use them. So currently we are not using it in any way. So let's change this. Let's go back and let's retrieve the titles first. Okay, so I'm going to get the title, not the authors, but the title, and I'm going to set to reassign the data. So here we are going to use the list comprehension, and I'm going to write post title for post in posts. Okay, let's see if this changes anything. So I'm going to save this, go back, hit refresh, and then go to SQL, and as you can see, we have 3 queries, and one is related to the post table. But this isn't an issue over here. So we had 2 queries. Right now we have 3. So if we are doing it like this, where we are referring to a title, which is just an ordinary char field, we don't have any issues. The problem begins when we are dealing with a relationship to a different table. So let's take a look at the authors right now. Let's grab the author's name. Let's see what will happen. So instead of post title, I'm going to write post author name for post in posts. Let's save this. Let's hit refresh. And right now, as you can see, we have 9 queries. So basically, it's hitting the database with each single object. As you can see, we have 6 posts. So every time, with every object, it's hitting the database 1 time. All right. So this can be a very big problem if you have huge amounts of data. And in order to fix it, we can use select related. So let's do this right now. So over here, I'm going to rewrite the posts, and this is going to be post objects, and then select related. And I want to grab all the authors at once. So I don't want to grab them for every single object in the database. I just want to grab them all in once, all in one query. And this is exactly what I'm doing over here. Okay, so instead of hitting the database with every single time, with every single object, we are grabbing them at once. And then I'm just going to cut this piece of code, put it below. We can comment this out. We don't have to, but we can do it. And now I'm going to save this, hit refresh. And now we have 3 queries, all right? So we have improved our queries by a lot, okay? So instead of 9, we have 3. Okay, and imagine if we would have much more objects, okay? So this could mean very big optimization depending on how much data we have. All right. One thing that I want to show you also is that we are not losing any data. So I'm just going to print posts values. Let's save this. I'm going to refresh over here. We have additional query right now, but as you can see, we have all the data necessary. So we have the title and we have the author ID and we have the ID of our posts. So we aren't losing any data right now. Okay, so this is select related and we can use it with a foreign key or a one-to-one relationship. But if we would like to work on a many-to-many relationship or a reverse foreign key relationship, in this case, we would have to use prefetch related. So I'm going to show you this also on an example, but we need to go to models.py file first. Let's comment out this, this line, and let's bring in the authors, which now is a many-to-many relationship to the author, all right? So I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to go to the terminal, and then I'm going to run changes sh. All right. And if we go to the admin, to the posts, right now we can assign many authors to a single post. So I'm going to do some changes very quickly. Okay. All right. So now let's go back to the views.py file. Let's comment this out and let's work on this prefetch related example. I'm actually going to bring this post object all. I'm going to cut it and I'm going to paste it down below. Okay. We have the posts, but we also need the authors. So I'm going to use a for loop this time. I could do a nested list comprehension, but it won't be readable that much. So this time I'm going to do a simple for loop for post in posts. Then I'm going to grab the authors, and this is going to be post authors all. Okay, and then I'm going to loop through the authors. So for author in authors, I'm going to simply append the author name to the data. So data append author name. All right. So let's save this. And then let's take a look. What do we have over here? All right. So we have many authors. And then if we go to the SQL, we again have many queries. So we have 6 similar queries, meaning that we are referring to 6 posts. And how we can optimize this? Well, as mentioned before, we can use this time prefetch related. So let's go back, and over here, I'm just going to copy this, comment this out, and then paste it below. And here, after objects, we are going to use prefetch related, and we are going to use it on the authors this time. So we are grabbing all the authors at once instead of grabbing them with each single post object. So let's save this right now. Let's go to our main page. Let's hit refresh. And now we have 4 queries. 4 queries instead of 9. So the first query fetches the main objects, which in our case are the posts, and the second one fetches the related objects, which are the authors. All right, so the next step is to use the prefetch class together with prefetch related to get posts of all the authors. And here we will be using again the foreign key relationship. So I'm going to bring this back in and comment this out. I'm going to save this. I'm going to quit the development server from running, and then I'm going to run changes again. I'm going to select the option as 1. And now we can go back to the administration, and let's do some changes. We set the author as 1, so everywhere we have now the author, the first author, as the author of all the posts. So let's do some adjustments. I'm going to set this one to author 2. I'm going to save this. I'm going to select this one as author 4, author 5, and let's do author 2. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so right now we can go back to the views.py file, and let's comment this out, and let's write a query set for the authors. So it's going to be, let me just do it like this, authors is equal to, and then author objects all. Okay, but as mentioned before, this time we want to use this query set in order to retrieve all the titles, post titles of the author. So what we want to do is to place those post titles in the data. So we need to loop through the authors. For author in authors, there it is. We want to grab the posts. So author post set all. Okay, so here we are grabbing all the posts of the particular author, and then we can loop through those posts and add them to the data list. So let's do this. For post in posts, let's append the post title. All right, let's save this, and let's see how this will work. So here we have the posts, and we have 8 queries. Okay, so this time we have 5 similar queries, and this means it hits the database with every single author. What we can do right now is to optimize this query set with the prefetch class, which can be imported from Django DB models. So let's bring it in. From Django DB models, import prefetch. Okay, and here let's rewrite the authors. So authors is equal to author objects, and then all prefetch related, and here we are going to use the prefetch class. First of all, we need to specify the relationships to prefetch. So here in our case, we are going to write post set. Okay, and as the next step, we need to write the query set to use for each relationship. So let's write query set, and in our case, it's going to be post objects Okay, so now I'm going to comment this out and save the views.py file, hit refresh, and we have 4 queries. Okay, so we have optimized our query set also for getting the posts of all the authors. And I want to finish off over here. This was just a very simple introduction to select related and prefetch related. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. And if you did, please consider subscribing to the channel. It was very difficult to record this one because I'm currently in Alicante and I'm doing an Airbnb. I have a wonderful view on the Alicante city, the sea, but I have a renovation on the 5th floor. So I'm living currently on the 8th floor. The renovation is on the 5th floor and it's just a disaster. So if you don't mind liking the video and leaving a comment, I would be really, really grateful because this was probably one of the most difficult videos to record. Thank you so much and hope to see you in the next one. Take care and bye-bye.